Welcome to JT Scary Tales. The dark side of the web. 3 true horror stories. The internet is a gateway to the unknown, where danger lurks behind a friendly message. A simple video, or a too good to be true date. Tonight, we dive into 3 terrifying horror stories that prove some corners of the web should never be explored. A man buys a lifelike doll to help his grieving wife, only to discover they're being watched. A mysterious YouTube video leads someone down a dark, twisted rabbit hole that knows too much about them. And finally, a seemingly innocent online romance turns into a nightmare when the truth about Kelly is revealed. These are not just stories, they're warnings. Welcome to the dark side of the internet. Story 1. Baby Blue, the cursed doll. I should have known better. I should have realized that grief makes people do irrational things they wouldn't normally consider. But when you love someone, you're willing to do anything to help them, even if it means making a terrible mistake. Loss and desperation. My wife, Emily, was never the same after we lost our child. She withdrew from the world, spending most of her days locked inside our bedroom, staring blankly at the walls. I had tried everything: therapy, medication, giving her space, staying close, but nothing worked. She was slipping away, and I was powerless to stop it. Then, one day, my friend Greg mentioned something strange. "There's this thing," he said hesitantly. "A humanized doll? A doll?" I frowned. "Not just any doll. It's supposed to resemble the child you lost. Some say it helps people cope." At first, I dismissed it as ridiculous. But as I watched Emily wasting away, the idea no longer seemed so absurd. Maybe, just maybe, it could help. The package that shouldn't exist. 3 days later, the package arrived. A plain brown box. No label, no return address, just sitting on our doorstep like an omen. I hesitated before opening it, my hands trembling slightly. Inside, wrapped delicately in tissue paper, was a doll so lifelike that my breath caught in my throat. It had Emily's soft blue eyes, my sharp nose, and a tiny, knowing smile. When Emily saw it, something inside her broke, but not in the way I had feared. She let out a soft gasp, her eyes lighting up with something I hadn't seen in months. "Baby Blue," she whispered, cradling the doll to her chest. "Her name is Baby Blue." For the first time in a long time, Emily smiled, but that was also the last moment of peace in our house. The obsession begins. At first, I thought the doll was helping. Emily began eating again, speaking more, even leaving the bedroom. But soon, things took a darker turn. She wouldn't let Baby Blue out of her sight. She would rock it, feed it, even change its diapers as if it were real. She whispered to it, had full conversations with it, and refused to acknowledge my growing concerns. One night, I woke up to find her in the rocking chair, humming a lullaby to the doll in the dim light. "Emily?" I called softly. She didn't respond. Her eyes were locked on the doll, an eerie, vacant smile on her lips. And then, the crying started. "Do you hear her?" Emily asked, voice trembling. "She's crying. She says I'm a bad mother." A chill ran down my spine. "Emily, it's just a doll." She turned to me sharply, eyes flashing with anger. "How dare you say that? She's our daughter." That was when I realized she had fallen too deep. A night of terror. One night, I was jolted awake by the blaring fire alarm. Smoke filled the kitchen. Emily had left a kettle on the stove and completely forgotten about it. As I rushed to put it out, I found her sitting on the floor, clutching Baby Blue, tears streaming down her face. She was crying. Emily whispered. She told me I had to prove I loved her. I stepped back, my heart pounding. "Emily, put the doll down." She clutched it tighter, shaking her head violently. "No, I won't abandon her. She's all I have." Then, in a blur of motion, she lunged at me. The gleam of a knife caught my eye just in time for me to dodge. I barely managed to wrestle it from her hands, panic clawing at my chest. My wife, my sweet, loving wife, had just tried to kill me. And as I looked down, my hands still trembling, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Baby Blue's eyes, her glassy, lifeless eyes, were glowing red. The horrifying truth. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed the doll from Emily and, for the first time, I heard it, a small, muffled wailing. But it wasn't coming from Emily. It was coming from the doll. I tore at its synthetic skin, my fingers digging into its torso. And then, nestled deep inside, I found it, a small, black device, a camera. Horror crashed over me as I realized the truth. We had been watched. Someone, somewhere on the dark web, had been spying on us the entire time. Watching my wife unravel, feeding off her despair, I destroyed the doll immediately, then called the police. But as I suspected, the device was untraceable. The people behind this were ghosts, untouchable in the shadows of the internet. All I could do was take Emily away, get her help, and make sure we never looked back. A warning to others. Even now, I wonder how many other people have received dolls like Baby Blue. How many grieving parents have unknowingly become part of some twisted voyeuristic game? And worst of all, did we ever really escape? Because some nights, when the house is silent, I swear I can still hear it. A faint, muffled cry echoing in the dark. Story 2. The cursed YouTube video. I should have ignored it. The warning was clear, but curiosity is a dangerous thing. And that night, it led me straight into something I still can't explain, something I wish I could forget. A mysterious message. It started with a text from an unknown number. Do not click on this link. Attached was a shortened YouTube URL. I hesitated. Normally, I'd delete spam messages like this. But something about it felt different. Maybe it was the wording. Was it reverse psychology? A joke? Or was someone actually trying to warn me? It had been a rough day, and my brain was too fried to resist. Against my better judgment, I tapped the link. The video loaded. It was old, grainy black and white footage, like something pulled from an archive. The title was cryptic. Do not skip to 221 seconds. Of course, I skipped straight to that timestamp. The hidden message. The video paused on a strange scene, a dimly lit circus from the 1960s. In the background, elephants swayed while dwarves performed in front of a crowd. But at the center of the screen was an enormous drum, and painted across it in bold, jagged letters was a phrase. Comment 13. I scrolled down to the 13th comment. It contained nothing but a link. My stomach tightened, but at this point, I was hooked. My pulse quickened as I clicked. It took me to another YouTube video. But this time, it was one of my own videos. Someone was watching me. I had recently started a YouTube channel. Just a casual thing where I shared opinions on books, movies, and pop culture. But something was wrong. My video had been altered. At first, it played normally. But then, glitches, strange distortions rippled across the screen. My voice deepened, warped into something inhuman. Midway through, the video cut to black. Then, white text appeared. You should not have clicked. The screen flickered again, and a series of numbers and letters filled the frame, seemingly random, until they stopped forming nonsense. They reassembled into something that made my breath catch in my throat. My home address. A digital nightmare. I slammed my laptop shut and pushed away from my desk. My chest tightened. This had to be a prank. Some hacker messing with me. But how? How did they alter my video? How did they get my address? I needed to step away. Clear my head. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of orange juice, and took a few deep breaths. When I returned, my laptop screen was lit up again. A new message. Hope I didn't scare you. Smile. Beneath it was an image. A woman. She was beautiful, long dark hair, wearing a tight white tank top and yoga pants. Her eyes staring directly into the camera. But something felt off. Not about her face, about her shirt. Right in the center, printed in faded black ink, was a symbol that I created. Not just any random design, something specific. Something from my unpublished novel. There was no way she could have known about it. No way it should exist outside of my private files. My hands trembled as I typed. Who are you? How did you get that symbol? No response. For minutes, I stared at the screen, waiting. Then another text popped up. What do you think of me? Winking face. I didn't respond. I was too busy scrolling back up to the image. Because I had noticed something even more disturbing. A presence in the background. In the reflection of her mirror. Behind her shoulder. There was someone else in the room. A tall, shadowy figure, standing still, watching. A chill ran down my spine. My instincts screamed at me to delete everything. Stop messing with me. Tell me who you are. Another message appeared. Don't be afraid, babe. It's our little secret. My breathing became ragged. Did you hack my computer? How did you get my address? Oh, you haven't read the 13th comment completely, have you? My stomach turned. I opened my browser and went through the steps again. The circus video. The comment section. The 13th comment. At first, it looked the same. Just a link to my video. But below it was a new line of text. Do not scroll to the 20th comment. Of course, I did. The 20th comment simply said, do not click this link. And, of course, I clicked it. The final revelation. It took me to a website, one I hadn't seen in years. My own blog. From 7 years ago. There was a suggested edit at the top of my most recent post. Do not check the edit history. My fingers hovered over the mouse. My gut told me this was my last chance to stop. But I clicked anyway. In the edit history was a previous version of my post. And at the bottom, just a single, ominous line. Thank you for the delicious orange juice. The horror becomes real. My heart stopped. I turned slowly to my right. My glass of orange juice was empty. But I hadn't taken a single sip. Story 3. The Dark Web Nightmare. The truth about Kelly. I've never been the kind of guy who gets attention from girls. Hell, I've barely even had the courage to talk to one in person. My comfort zone has always been behind a screen, where conversations feel controlled, and awkward silences don't exist. I wasn't looking for anything serious when I stumbled into a dark web chatroom one night. It was out of boredom. More than anything, a late-night dive into the internet's underbelly, where anonymity made people feel bold. And that's when I met Kelly. She was different from anyone I had ever talked to, confident, funny, and actually interested in me. She didn't just tolerate my rambling about video games and conspiracy theories, she engaged with them. For someone like me, who had always been on the fringes, that meant everything. An unlikely connection. Kelly had her struggles too. She confided in me about her severe hair loss, a condition that made her feel invisible and unwanted. No guy ever really looks at me the way I want to be looked at. She had typed. That hit me hard because I knew what it felt like to be overlooked, to feel like you don't matter. We bonded over this shared sense of isolation. And before I knew it, I started falling for her. The meeting place. After weeks of talking late into the night, we finally decided to meet in person. Kelly picked the place. An old, abandoned children's park. A little weird, but she said it was quiet, private. The perfect spot where we could finally see each other without pressure. I was nervous but excited. The park was even creepier than I had imagined. The sun had just set, leaving everything in that eerie twilight where nothing feels quite real. Rusted swings creaked softly in the wind, and broken seesaws lay forgotten in the dirt. I got there early, sat on a bench near the swings, and waited. The place was dead silent. And then, I noticed him. The old man. A creepy old man sat on a nearby bench, staring at me. Not a casual glance, not a passing curiosity. A full-on, unsettling, unblinking stare. I tried to ignore him. Checking my phone, I sent Kelly a text. Me. Hey, I'm here. Where are you? She replied almost instantly. Kelly. Walking now. Couldn't catch a cab. Great. Just what I needed. To be stuck here alone with this weirdo watching me. I shifted on the bench, pretending not to notice him. But my gut told me something was wrong. Then, he stood up, and started walking toward me. Something wasn't right. My heart skipped a beat. I wasn't the paranoid type. But everything about this guy screamed danger. I stood up and casually started walking away. Texted Kelly again. Me. Some guy here is creeping me out. Moving to another spot. Kelly. Wait a few minutes. I'm almost there. Don't go. But I wasn't waiting. I spotted a bus stop at the edge of the park. A single flickering streetlight illuminated it. Not much, but safer than here. As I reached the stop, I looked back. The old man was still there. But now, he was smiling. The call that changed everything. Something about that smile sent a chill down my spine. I needed to hear Kelly's voice, to know she was real. But then it hit me. We had been talking for weeks, and never exchanged phone numbers. We only ever chatted on the dark web. I cursed myself for being so stupid. I texted her, "Me. Bad signal, send me your number." Seconds later, she replied, "Kelly." Of course. Smile. A number popped up. I dialed it instantly. The phone rang. Once. Twice. Then, I heard it. A ringtone. But not from my phone. It was coming from across the street. The horror revealed. My breath hitched. I turned my head slowly, scanning the empty street. There was no one. No Kelly. No movement. Just the old man. And his phone was ringing. He answered. "Hello, Ryan." I froze. His voice was soft, playful, almost teasing. "I hope my hair looks nice for you." I didn't want to wear a wig on our first date. My stomach dropped. Every memory of our conversations, Kelly's stories, her struggles with hair loss, her insecurities, all of it came crashing down on me. This wasn't Kelly. It had never been Kelly. It had been him. "Run." He stepped forward, still smiling. I reacted on instinct. I swung. My fist collided with his face, hard. He stumbled back, blood dripping from his nose. But he was still smiling. "Stop running, Ryan," he called after me. "I thought you were different. I thought you loved me." I didn't stop running until I reached my apartment. The aftermath. I locked every door, every window. I wiped my phone and laptop, erasing every trace of that chat room. I never reported it. What would I even say? That I met a girl on the dark web, only for her to turn into a man who had been stalking me. I shut it out of my mind. But sometimes, late at night, I get anonymous texts. "Do you miss me?" I never reply. But deep down, I know, he's still out there. The end. Thanks for watching. Do you love spine-chilling stories and eerie mysteries? You've come to the right place. At JT Scary Tales, we bring you the most terrifying and thrilling scary tales from around the world. From haunted places to unexplained phenomena, our scary tales will keep you on the edge of your seat. Subscribe now and dive into the dark world of scary tales.